been aware of my neurodivergence, as they call it now, and found that recalling moments about your childhood, writing things about them, is not only cathartic, but a form of self-analysis. And this is called Burlington Street. As a small child, I'd often be taken to visit my mother's Auntie Polly and Uncle Alec. The walk passed through sylvan woods that left no sense of their existence between the edges of two hard-working mill towns. A final drop over the hard flats to the railway line and the main road that connected the both of them. Across the road was Burlington Street. My trepidation on arriving at the top of a cobble street that plunged 45 degrees, leading directly down to a spiked fence at the bottom, behind which was the canal, was palpable. And despite my young years, I could imagine the possibility of losing control in some way and being swept down that wormhole to a death of either impalement or drowning. Arriving at the front door of number 14, I would force myself to pull my gaze away from the impending possibility of death, and with one leg outstretched and the other flexed, I would line myself up with the deck chair stripes on the heavy canvas that protected the door from the ravages of the sun. Dad would ease the canvas to one side and knock on the full wood-painted door. Silence. Then a stentorian voice would call out, "There's nobody in." A pursuant silence, and there it was, that moment for a child. Uncertainty pondered over for mere seconds, then realization, like the fifth of 5 boys, that everything was going to be fine. Uncle Alec, a presence, would answer the door, and I would hop in, knowing now I was safe, at least until it was time for us to leave. He would beckon us in with his booming voice, acquired from having to supervise and maintain 40 screaming looms and the women that ran them. Totally bald, a victim of alopecia, his functional black-framed glasses doubled his eyebrows over his kind eyes. Built as sturdy as a North Rock loom, the bulwark defending the loveliness within, Auntie Polly, as sweet as the saccharine dust that lingered inside the tiny empty tins that I would play with, wetting my finger and tasting only delight there. Both in their 70s, the trappings of children were long gone from their house, and I would be given the button box to play with, or the woolen footballs she would make for me. When the diabetes took her away, Uncle Alec moved to a small cottage a few streets away on the main road, beneath the towering spire of St Mary's Church, and far away from the perils of Burlington Street. I wondered if he, like me, was glad to be away from it. We would still visit him, and Dinky, his toy poodle, a companion, someone to talk to, right up to the point I introduced him to my future bride. I was happy that they seemed to like each other. Alec lived to be 93. Despite a lifetime spent in the cotton mills of Nelson, but those snow globes, illuminated by northern lights, were bound to have a deleterious effect on the lungs of the Lancashire tackler. He'd struggle to bring up a grey wad of phlegm and spit it onto the coals of the open fire, where we would sit and watch it dance and sizzle for a second or two until it was gone. Thank you.